Today, we're diving into a really cool concept from Ayurvedic philosophy called Dravya. At its heart, it's the ancient answer to a huge question. What is everything really made of?
I mean, think about it for a second. A star burning millions of miles away, the stone you might kick on the sidewalk, and a thought that just pops into your head. What could they possibly have in common? Well, Ayurveda says they're all connected by one single unifying idea, and that idea is Dravya.
Okay, so let's get into it. What exactly is Dravya? To really get our heads around the Ayurvedic worldview, we have to understand this concept first. It's way more than just stuff or matter. It's literally the foundation for everything that exists.
You know, the ancient texts have this really smart, super simple way of explaining it. Picture a ball, the actual physical ball. That's the Dravya, the substance. Now, its qualities, like the fact that it's red or that it's round, that's called guna. And any action you can do with it, like throwing it, is called karma. Here's the key. The color and the action can't just float around on their own. They need the ball to exist. They have to live inside the substance.
So if you want the more formal definition, here it is. Dravya is the substratum. Think of it like a container that holds both qualities and actions. And it's also the co-inherent cause. That's a fancy way of saying the substance and whatever you make from it are totally inseparable. You can't have a pot without clay, right? The clay is the co-inherent cause of that pot.
And get this isn't some new age take on it. As you can see right here from a reference to the original Sanskrit texts, this philosophy clearly lays out this exact relationship. The idea that Dravya is the permanent home for all the qualities and actions, that's a concept that's been around for thousands of years.
All right, so now that we've got the basics down, let's see how this concept builds out. Ayurveda doesn't just throw everything into one big pot. It starts by making a really important distinction, splitting all of reality into two main types of substance.
So, you've got two main players here. First, there are the causal substances, or Dravya. These are the eternal, fundamental building blocks of the universe. They weren't created from anything else. Everything else is created from them. Then you have the effect substances, or Dravya. This is, well, everything else. All the things that are made from those causal substances. They come and they go. Think of it like this: raw elemental clay versus the thousands of different pots and sculptures you can make from it.
And this diagram, it just lays out the whole system beautifully. As you can see, it's incredibly detailed, branching out from Dravya into causal and effect, and then breaking down even further. It's like a complete map of reality. We could probably spend a whole day just on this chart, but for right now, we're going to focus on the very root of this tree, those causal substances.
So what are these fundamental, eternal building blocks that create everything else in the universe? This is where the Ayurvedic worldview gets really unique and, honestly, just fascinating.
The ancient texts tell us there's a very specific number of these causal substances, and that number is 9. This is so foundational. Everything in the entire cosmos, whether you can touch it or not, is said to be a combination of just these 9 eternal things.
And here they are, the first 5 you've probably heard of, the Panchamahabhutas, or the 5 great elements. You've got space, air, fire, water, and earth. But this is where it gets really mind-blowing. The philosophy also says that things we think of as abstract, like time, direction, and even the soul, are also fundamental substances, just as real as earth and water.
Let's zoom in on these abstract ones for a second, because treating them as fundamental building blocks of reality, well, that's a pretty profound idea. So in this system, time, or kala, isn't just an idea we made up. It's a measurable substance. The ancient sage Sushruta actually broke it all down with incredible detail, from a single moment, which she defined as the time it takes to blink, all the way up to a full year. This shows that time is seen as an active, quantifiable force that's responsible for all change.
And this quote from the Sharka Samhita just hits it home, right? It says time is an active cause. It has a real effect. It's the substance that brings about change, aging, and transformation. It's not just passively ticking by. It's a force that everything is caught in.
And it's the same thing with direction, or disha. Why is it a substance? Well, because without it, we couldn't even have concepts like near, far, up, or down. Direction is the substance that gives everything a spatial context to exist in. They even mapped out 10 distinct directions that define our 3D world. And finally, there's Atma, the soul or the self. This is the substance of consciousness itself.
It's the silent, eternal witness inside us. And how do we know it's there? Through its qualities, through the very experience of desire, dislike, making an effort, feeling pleasure or pain. It's the substance that allows us to know anything at all. Okay, so this is some pretty deep philosophy, I know. But what on earth does any of this have to do with health and medicine? Well, this is exactly where this ancient idea becomes incredibly practical.
Here's the big leap. Ayurveda says there's no difference between the universe out there and the universe inside you. If the whole cosmos is made from these 9 dravyas, then so are you. Your body, your mind, your consciousness, it's all just an interplay of these same fundamental substances.
And boom, here it is. This is the moment where it all clicks together. The famous 3 doshas, which are the core principles that govern our health, are direct expressions of those 5 great elements. Vata, the principle of movement, is made from the light and spacious qualities of space and air. Pitta, which is all about metabolism and transformation, is made from fire and water. And Kapha, the principle of structure and stability, comes from earth and water. Your unique body type is just your own personal mix of these fundamental substances. So this isn't just theory, it's the absolute bedrock of Ayurvedic practice. A diagnosis is all about figuring out which elements in your body are out of whack. Pharmacology is about understanding the elemental makeup of different herbs and foods, and treatment is basically the art of using a substance with the opposite qualities to bring things back into balance. For example, using something heavy and grounding to calm down an excess of that light, airy Vata energy. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, when you really get this idea of Dravya, your whole perspective starts to shift. You stop seeing a world full of separate, disconnected objects, and you start seeing one unified field of interacting substances. A medicine, a type of food, a season of the year, even a state of mind. They're all speaking the same elemental language. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If things like time and consciousness aren't just abstract ideas, but are actual, fundamental substances, just as real as a rock, how does that change the way we see ourselves and our real place in this incredibly dynamic, interconnected universe?